Variance. Okay, what's the next topic we looking at?
Next week's topic, retail sales, lumber prices, and rental rates. Some of the big key things to note is that consumers cut their spending about 1.3% in May. The expected was about 0.6%. And what that means is they're really cycling. They're cycling. We're seeing people cycle their spending out of goods and into services. This includes things like food, drink, travel, entertainment, which is not something that we don't know about, right? COVID trade is changing. It's the kind of COVID after effect trade. People going out want to spend all their money. Um, you're seeing like casino spending's up 70%, theme parks and bowling alleys up 9%. Even gyms are up again 4%. People are spending, people going back out. Again, nothing that we didn't see coming. But we also see producer price increases. The producer price index, which measures prices that suppliers are charging businesses and customers, that rose about 0.8%. So it just kind of shows that there is an increase of costs that the suppliers are issuing to people that are buying from them, and that we're seeing some of those costs be pushed out to consumers. That's the translation of inflation. So that's also factoring into that as well. Lumber futures for July delivery, they're down about 41% from their record in May. And the futures themselves have declined 14 in the last 16 days of trading. Some people believe here that the lumber bubble has popped, and we're just kind of see where the price settles down. But note, it still is about 3 times higher, 3 times more expensive than it would be at the same time in last year for a normal time for this time of the year. So
Thanks for the follow, James
there's
Clark.
definitely been a change. What happened?
Sorry for the interruption. Another follower. Thank you, James Clark. Appreciate it.
Thank you, James. And yeah, so then Freddie Mac comes out and they say that part of the reason that we have these shortages and these high prices anyway are also supported by the 3.8 million houses. We're about 3.8 million houses shy of meeting current demand, and this is also a factor of a lack of construction since 2008. Home values took a hit, and there isn't as much building, so this just kind of exacerbates it. But some people are arguing this is the kind of effects towards more normalization of prices. So we're still high, but we're definitely seeing a change in there, at least in the short term. And you're also seeing a large amount of insiders are selling their positions in these lumber companies, processing companies, companies that own land that lumber is kind of harvested from. So and that's kind of a sign too, because when you see insiders selling, that may be a sign they say, okay, our stock price is really high. We're selling because we might think this is the time to. It could mean they're just exercising options they already have, or they have to do it by a certain amount of time for their compensation. But it can also mean, hey, we think our stock price is about as high as it's going to go. This is a great price for us, so we're going to sell out and take profits, which may be a sign to the markets that these things are changing. There is a change in lumber prices, which may help to show that some of our inflation is transitory. Maybe not all of it, but some of it is. Right? That could be what we're looking at here. In addition to this, single-family rents increased 5.3% year over year in April. That's the biggest gain in 15 years. And detached homes, which are rental homes that are not like townhouses where you have like 2 or 3 units that are attached. They're independent. They have their own yards and everything, their own space. Those prices were up about 8%, driven by millennials who want outdoor space. That's kind of the consensus right there out of a CoreLogic survey. 64% of the people that were putting up these saying that they wanted outdoor space. That was the saying that they wanted these detached homes. They were saying outdoor space, and they tended to be millennials. So, which makes sense because we're seeing an exodus from the cities out into the suburbs. People don't want to be near each other anymore following the pandemic, which makes sense. It seems to be a normal human reaction to people dying, hearing bad news all the time, people scared, lockdowns, kind of that end of the world vibe. You don't want to be around lots of people in the city when the zombie apocalypse attacks. So they want their space. Um, and out of all these places, Phoenix, Tucson, Las Vegas, and Atlanta saw the greatest growth from 12% to 9%. So the greatest increase in rental in rents, respectively. And Boston and Chicago saw actual declines of 5.9 and 2.6% respectively. So it's not just going up everywhere. There are different fluctuations in different parts of the market, and that could also be a factor of where people are moving to and moving from. Now you can see kind of a reshuffling of the population. So, yeah.
I mean, I feel like this is just like a huge topic in general. I mean, just because how inflation's taken over everything, and I believe I was reading something where they're saying that most of the properties being purchased right now are purchased for the intention of rentals and for profit, not for living in it, not for the typical home for family. I don't know what I'm trying to say right now, but pretty much everybody's making profit off of them. The people who need to be living in them aren't living in them. They're probably losing their home. They're probably going to foreclose on them. People who are going to buy them up are going to just be investors who are going to just flip them, use it for money, increase the value of the area, and then make it even more impossible for people to repurchase into the market.
Well, we talked about on an earlier podcast about pension funds and big institutions that are buying up homes for the purpose of adding them to their portfolio as rental revenue, so they can rent out to people. And I definitely think that's interesting, because I wonder what happens if, if industries and funds start buying up lots and lots of property and they own all of it. What happens to the supply of homes to buy? A remaining supply that aren't owned by a company may increase in value, and the companies may try to hold them for their revenue values, so they can then make products that they gain their value from collection of pools of revenue, like a securitized asset. Or they may just hold them to sell them at premiums, because they'll have a portfolio of houses. So when the housing market goes up, they'll have a bunch of assets on their books that is increasing their value, making their company look like it's worth more money. And then to divest those assets would then to give them a big windfall, because they would be selling them at a premium, and they would be like, I have a supply of 10,000 homes. You know what I mean? These prices are high, but I'll give you a nice discount. They become like lenders and dealers of homes, instead of people buying them from each other, and you just see funds being the distributors, which would be an interesting, and that's obviously an extreme case, but an interesting thought experiment there. But yeah, a lot of people they are buying up these houses, and no one is living there. And then the protection on evictions of the CDC that ends in about 15 days, something like that. And there's a lot of people out there that can't pay their rent, or that have said that we need assistance, and there's not really much assistance going on, and so we have to watch and see over the next month in July if there'll be tons and tons of evictions. So
all right,
we'll be obviously reporting on that.
Something to look forward to, not to look forward to. That's not really like
housing bubble.
Yeah, not really the best news, but like it's definitely something that's going to be current.
Buyer's
it's
market.
It's not something new. This is something that's repeating now from the 2008 crisis, right?
Right.
And so
well, something that's kind of
we have someone saying
that,
renters in New Jersey. What do you think the play is moving forward? Wait out the inflation period to get in before rental prices rise even higher. So these are renters in New Jersey.
If your purpose is to live, I guess that depends on.
So they followed it up with, how do you see the inflation curve moving in the future?
Well, we're going to have to hop on in a bit, because our Zoom meeting's about to end.
We're going to literally be right back.
We will come back and answer your questions. Go ahead and do some quick magic research, and